and I'm an estate planning attorney at the law firm of Sessions, Fishman, Nathan, and Israel. A lot of people ask me what is estate planning and why they need it. And I tell them that there's really two aspects to estate planning. There's planning while you're living and there's planning for when you're dead. So the planning while you're living, I call it lifetime planning, and it's really just putting a plan in place in case you ever can't make decisions for yourself. And it's really important to have this planning because once you're in a place where you can't make decisions for yourself, there's really nothing that you can do, and your family's going to have to take you to court and get proper court authority to help you make your decisions. So we like to do this planning before you even think that you may need it. When I'm talking about lifetime planning, I'm talking about powers of attorney. And with powers of attorney, there's a lot of different kinds of powers of attorney. There are financial powers of attorney and medical powers of attorney and real estate powers of attorney. And they can be very limited in scope or they can be very broad. But basically what a power of attorney is it's you giving somebody authority to make decisions on your behalf. And the good thing about the power of attorney is that if you have it in place, then there's usually no reason why somebody would need to have a court proceeding. With a financial power of attorney, you're giving somebody the authority to do almost anything that you would be able to do, to pay your bills. If you can't pay your bills, to file your tax returns. If you can't file your tax returns, to make annual gifts. If you give your grandkids annual Christmas presents, like a couple $1,000s each year, your agent can do that on your behalf. So it can be really great to have, but it can also be kind of dangerous because once you sign this general procuration, which is the financial power of attorney, it is effective immediately. So you have to be really careful with who you give that document to. If you're naming a child or a spouse or a sibling or someone who you trust, then you can usually give that person the document and say, you know, if I can't do these things for myself, like here's this document that gives you the authority to do this stuff for me. But sometimes people don't feel really comfortable doing that, and if that's the case, there's other things that you can do. If you execute this power of attorney at your attorney's office, then the attorney can hold on to it in his or her office, and then you can tell somebody that it's out there, and if it ever needs to be used, that person can contact your attorney, and the attorney can provide the document to that person. There's other ways to do it. There's something called a springing power of attorney, and that's only effective when a doctor has certified you as incapable. The only problem, well, there's a couple of issues with that, and one problem is that when you're incapable, you need somebody to be able to do things for you, and it's just another hurdle, and it can take some time for a person to find a doctor to certify you as incapable, so that may not be advisable. But for someone who is really nervous about the possibility of this power of attorney being used improperly, then it is an extra safeguard. So that's financial powers of attorneys or general procurations, kind of in a nutshell. With medical powers of attorney, these are where you're naming somebody who can make medical decisions on your behalf. So if you are in surgery and you're under anesthesia and the doctor needs to find out if you give consent to some medical procedure and that doctor can't wake you up and ask you for your consent, the doctor can get the consent from the person who you name as your agent in your medical power of attorney. It's always good to have that on hand because unfortunately life is so uncertain and you never know when you may be in the hospital or incapacitated and you may not be able to make this decision for yourself. And so that's powers of attorney in a nutshell. With powers of attorney, they are revocable, and that can be a good thing or a bad thing. So let's say that you go see your attorney and you execute powers of attorney where you're naming your son to be your agent. and then your son, who lived close to you and helped you out a lot, moves across the country to California, then you may want to name your daughter, who lives closer, as the agent instead of your son. So you can easily revoke the power of attorney. The only issue with that is that once you revoke the power of attorney, it's not effective. So if you don't do a new power of attorney, then you're really without a power of attorney. And so if you have questions about power of attorneys, please contact me.